I'm smiling because I just read Loom's little note. It says unpolished videos are okay, but I read it as unpolished videos are okay. So if you're not Polish, your videos are still okay. Anyways, David Feldman-Makrias here, and looking at different audiences within Google Ads because we found something new. It's a newer feature, and I don't think it's a huge deal, but I wanted to touch on it quickly because if you know how to apply it right and you know the difference between the different audience settings, it's not a big deal. But if you don't and you use it incorrectly, then it's going to be a big deal. So let's say, I'm in the back of audiences and we found this, actually, one of my team members found this stumbling upon adding different audiences. So what I did, or what she did rather, is she went in the back and she was trying to apply different audiences to different campaigns. So let's try and go through the same thing. I'm going to go here. I'm going to add to. The screen's probably going to change, so I'm going to have to pause the video and blur things. Add groups. Told you I was going to have to pause and blur things. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to have to pause again. Okay, so I'm getting better at blurring. What I just did was selected this, the actual campaign, then the ad group, and then I have the ad group actually selected. So let's go to the next screen. This is what I wanted to show us. So add one audience segment to ad groups. Choose a targeting setting for audience segments in the selected ad group. Smart default recommended. Oh, what is this? It used to just be targeting and observation. So this honestly is such an important setting. It's not even funny. Targeting and observation, you want to make sure you have audiences built, but you can either have two options. In the past, there's two options. One, you could observe, meaning that audience gets applied to your campaign, but it only reports on that campaign's activity within that audience. Meaning, how do I simplify this? If it's under observation and you apply it to a campaign or ad group, it's only going to watch the behavior of that audience. You're not going to just only serve to that audience. You're going to serve to everybody and that audience, and you're going to report on that audience within that campaign or ad group differently. You're going to have a subsection, like, for example, if you want to observe a audience that is a demographic of 25 to 54 within a shoe campaign, I don't know. If you find the demographic and you put it to 25 to 54, and then you place that audience under observation under that campaign, what that's going to do under the report is that is going to just create that extra layer and say, here's your campaign reporting, here's your 25 to 54 reporting, and here's like the people identified within that 25 to 54 age group and how they interacted with your campaign, the clicks, the impressions, blah, 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 blah. That's observation. Now, targeting, let's say I take the same example, and I should really just make a whole separate video on this, but whatever. Targeting is where I take that 25 to 54 age demographic, but I'm only going to show it to them. I'm not going to show it to people outside of that age range that Google identifies. I'm not going to show it to people that are maybe not set or unidentified or 23 and younger or 55 and older. I'm only going to show it to that actual demographic. So those were the two settings, and those are important to understand. And God, I'm looking at myself here in the little Loom capture, and I look pasty. Anyways, need to go get a tan. So smart default recommended. This is new. This is different. I'm not sure how new. The smart default option uses your current ad group settings for the added audience segments. If an ad group doesn't have an active audience segment, the default setting will be selected observation for search network and shopping campaigns and targeting for video and display network campaigns. The F, Google, what the F? That is a significant change. So why wouldn't the default just always be under observation? And there's actually an auto apply feature within Google Ads that you can just randomly have Google Ads apply observation targeting to a bunch of campaigns automatically. which I think is actually a great feature. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Why wouldn't you want to have all these different audiences and report their data on how they're interacting with your campaign? I think that's a no-brainer. It makes sense. It doesn't change your targeting. It doesn't like narrow your audience. But like this smart default, especially here, what the F is Google doing? This is recommended. And if you're not paying attention, or if you're newer to Google Ads and aren't used to these settings, this could really screw it up. If an ad group doesn't have, let's read this again. If an ad group doesn't have active audience segments such the default segments, the default setting will be selected observation for search and shopping. Okay, I like that. That's good. And targeting for video and display, which means that could limit your entire audience depending upon how your audiences are set up for video and display. I understand a little more thinking about it now why they did that, because the search network and shopping network, audience targeting, why do we use audience targeting? We use audience targeting to narrow down who we're showing ads to, right? But search and shopping, people are already narrowed down by what they're searching for. That's how it works. So that's why I think the observation of these audiences is fine, but still the targeting for these audiences, depending upon, like maybe you want to observe how your video and display campaigns are doing for a certain audience rather than only reach them and spend the money on them and have Google just decide who's you're going to spend the money on. Google's already doing that enough with Performance Max and smart campaigns and things like that. I just don't like this setting at all, especially not really for the first half, but for this half, especially if you're applying it to video and display network. I don't like that setting at all. I'm not a fan. Fight me on it. Please, in the comments, let me know what you think. Just thought it would be relevant for you guys to see this, and hopefully this helps. Like, comment, subscribe. Love you. Thanks. Bye.